Welcome everyone back to Beat the Game. This is Steve, and it's time for another edition of Beyond the PreCon. And this one was well awaited by a lot of folks that were asking me for it. The Incredible Hulk Bruce Banner. So this is the final promo as well. But before we get into that, guys, if you like these videos, please put it a thumbs up, a like, and tell me what you guys think about the video, about the Hulk in general. Has he grown on you with all the new expansions? Is there any cards that you really miss? And let's talk about that. All right, so here we go. First things first, Mr. Bruce Banner, recovery of 4, genius and scientist, hand size of 5 and 18 hit points. And he's got this ability of drawing a card and choosing to discard a card from your hand. So you get the 5 cards, and then that's it. You get the draw, and you kind of get the filter one and see how that goes. That's not the problem, the highest health. He's got a pretty good recovery. Hand size of 5. That's where it kind of got dangerous. When we saw what what Thor could do with a hand size of 4. So we'll see. And then when we flip to hero form, so again, this is the promo, the final promo that's released right now, and that's the other one. So we'll just keep these promos since it's the last one. We'll just enjoy it. So hand size of 4 in hero form. He's an Avenger with Gamma trait. He's got 0 thwart, 3 attack, 3 defense. And again, we're not going to go into they should have, would have, could have. What can we have done? Not that. But he does have a frustrating ability that, brings out all the rage in people, which is the Enrage. Force interrupt. When your turn ends, discard your hand. So that is something that makes Hulk a little bit more challenging to play, is you cannot keep cards. If it's your turn, you can't pass the turn, because then you just discard your hand. So again, there's a lot of times that if you're playing in solo, it doesn't really matter because you're just going to play your stuff anyway. But when you are in a multiplayer game, it's like, oh man, I'm stunned. Oh, I can unstun you, but only on my turn, blah, 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 and stuff like that. So he makes it really interesting, Hulk, for the challenge. All right, now let's take a look at some of his signature cards. Some of the things that are great, some of the things that are not as good, but let's take a look-see. All right, one of the big differences in the Hulk deck versus a lot of the other deck is his deck is cram-packed with events. There is technically only 3 cards that kind of sit on the table, and one of them is not even permanent sit. So first one, let's talk about this one. Bruce Banner's Laboratory, that 2-cost location that gives him +2 recovery, which is pretty good. Then he gets a recovery up to 6. So that's pretty good. So if you're in a long game, you can just come back, recover for 6, and then do it again, go back up by 12 in 2 turns, which is pretty solid. And if you're an alter ego, you do get to generate a mental resource, which is kind of interesting because his PreCon kit doesn't give you a lot of options to spend this in alter ego form. So there you go. But it's a good card to put down. It's resources, and sometimes you'll be able to use it, sometimes you can't. So I think that's another card that causes a little bit of frustration. All right, now let's take a look of his good cards here, his good signature cards. This one, Limitless Strength, triple resources that you can only spend in hero form. So the last time we saw a triple was with Captain Marvel, and the only problem is she could spend it in alter ego. He's got to do it in hero form. So another little bit of a restriction on his ability. I don't know. It's super powerful. Triple resources are they're bread and butter, and they can really accelerate your build, how you build your character and everything. So these Limitless Strengths, there's only 2 in the deck. So if you get them both on the same turn, you better hope you got something to play. All right, after that, Immovable Object that gives you +4 hit points, that brings you up to 22, and the Retaliate. So that is a super solid card. Never hesitate of putting that card down. This will help you in the long run, especially if you get tough minions. Those are the worst. So with Hulk, tough and guard, I'm looking at you, those armored guards from Claw. Those are the bane of Hulk's existence. So once you have this, then you can just kind of smash those little guys with no problem. Boundless Rage is one of those funny cards that I don't really prioritize. It gives you that +1 attack, but after you change form, you got to discard this card. So for me, it's one of those cards that I'll play if I know I saw my obligation run by, and if I'm not planning on going down anytime soon, then I'll play it. But if I haven't seen my obligation yet, then I'm not going to waste time putting resources into that +1 attack just yet. All right, his big mega attack is the Hulk Smash, which is a hero interrupt. When you make a basic attack, you get +10 attack for that attack. And if you pay it only with physical resources, it gains overkill. So this is a very good. So then he can punch for 13, maybe 14 if you have that upgrade. That's massive. So 3 to do 14 damage is very, very solid. And it goes through guards, it goes through minions, and as long as you're paying with physical resources, you're good, because almost every card in his kit, except for that laboratory, is a physical resource. So that's pretty interesting. Then we have another cool card that I like a lot, is the Crushing Blow, where you can only spend this with a physical. Now there is a way to kind of counteract that. If you have a helicarrier, you can just reduce the cost to 0, and then you can pay it for 0. So that's pretty fun. So it deals damage equal to his attack. So if he's an attack of 3 or 4, it's 1 for 3 or 1 for 4, which is really, really solid. Then we got the Unstoppable Force, which is Ready Hulk. And if you paid for only physicals, you get to draw a card. Now that card draw for me isn't the best. I think I would have preferred a +1 attack. But again, I don't want to get into those things just because if you're spending 2 cards plus this card, you have a hand size of 4. So normally you only have 1 card left in your hand. So unless you get super lucky and get something you can play, most of the time it's just going to be a dead card unless you flip down to banner mode. All right, then we got the Thunderclap, which I didn't really like that card at first, but I kind of grew into it. It's 9 damage on 3 different targets, so 3, 3, and 3 for 3. I think it's good. I think it makes sense. It's a fun card. I like the Thunderclap, and for me, it's again, it kind of cleans up all the minions that are on the table, and it's not an attack. So even if you are stunned or exhausted, it's a good move. And then finally, the Suborbital Leap, often referred to as the Suboptimal Leap, but Superpower Thwart, hero action. You can remove 3 threat, and if 5 threat instead if you paid only with physical resources. That's when those unstoppable forces start making sense. All right, so that is it for his kit. Now let's take a look at his pre-con and how we can play that deck, and what is kind of the intent on playing and how you're supposed to want to play that deck. All right, so his pre-constructed deck comes with the 2 powers of aggression, a couple new allies, She-Hulk, Sentry, and Brawn. It comes with the 3 double resources, Helicarrier and Avengers Mansion classics, martial prowesses that generate resources for attack events, and then a whole buttload of events, To the Rescue that removes threat, drop kicks that stuns and draws cards. You'll pay for that removes threat when you take damage, and Toe to Toe that forces an enemy to attack you and then deal 5 damage to it. So some really fun interactions here that you can have with the Hulk deck. First priority is probably to build up some economy when you're playing Hulk. So if you have a chance to put the Helicarrier, Avengers Mansion, or one of these martial prowesses out, do so. I think that's one of the big issues that people have when they're playing Hulk. They just go in to try to smash real fast and don't really set up properly. So obviously the more economy or the more things you can put on the table fast, the better your game will be. Now, that being said, his kit comes with a buttload of events. So Toe to Toe, pay for that, drop kick, To the Rescue. That's like 12 event, plus he's got already 12. So more than half his deck is all event cards, and then cards that you can only have a maximum 1 of. So that's why it's kind of like weird. Hulk doesn't have a lot of build cards, but he's not meant to build too much. He's meant to smash. So you kind of want to take the opportunities to really punch when you can and try to punch hard. So these drop kicks are great for that. Your threat removal comes from you'll pay for that mostly. That's probably your most efficient one. The villain attacks you for like 3 or 4. You just take the hit, and then you'll pay for that and just bring that threat right back down for 2 cards. So that's pretty good. Your threat, the ways to remove threat. Anyway, when I start playing him, I normally want to go Sentry. Sentry is my ultimate threat removal. I just use Sentry to remove threat as I see it. I do get an encounter card when I play him, so that's kind of like annoying, but it's just one encounter card, so what's the worst gonna happen? Shadows of the Past. All the time. That is always the one card you're gonna be dealing yourself. But yeah, aside from that, yeah, try to put down your economy, try to put down a martial prowess to pay for some of those attack events, like the toe-to-toes and stuff like that. And you should be fine. Like, this is a pretty good card. But if you want to go next level with this, I would highly suggest removing a few cards. And the cards I would suggest to remove are these events. There is a lot of events in his deck, and the more events you can remove, the more efficient I believe Hulk will get. Now, the first ones I would remove is the 3 to the rescues. They're good for Hulk, but they're not good in general. This is it's not a fantastic card. It's a card that, you know, they put in there, remove 2 threat because of Hulk has a 0 thwart. But again, it's got that physical icon, so that's why I think this card was created. So those are the first 3 I would get rid of. Then I would remove 2 You'll Pay for That. What I found happened a lot in my games is I would get this card and then I would have to discard it half the time. So for me, it wasn't optimal to keep 3 copies. So that's 5 cards that we just removed. Then I do like the martial prowess, but I would highly suggest I think 2 in the deck is enough. Having a 3rd copy is just a little bit of overkill. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think we could remove maybe 1 more. 4, yeah. 4, yeah, I think we should remove maybe 1 or 2 more. Let's go check it out. The next card I would remove is She-Hulk. Now, as much as I like She-Hulk, there's a very cool way to build her where you can kind of keep her always at like 1 health, and then you can you really punch a lot with. There's a super nice combo, but where you bring her health up to like, I think like 8 or 9, and then she punches for 8. And then you just keep healing her, and then she punches for 6, 7, 8. So there's some fun combos with this, but I think for the Hulk deck as it is not optimal. So that is a 7th card. I think we could remove maybe 1 or 2 more cards here to make it more efficient. As much as I love these drop kicks, at a 3 cost, I find that I'm not going to be playing them all the time, even though they're pretty good. But that extra card doesn't really do anything, because most of the time when you do play that drop kick, you have to play only physicals. So I found that I wasn't playing into them as much, even though I definitely could, especially with the martial prowess and seeing that I have so many physical resources. So I think we have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's just remove 2 drop kicks, 8, 9. All right. So what am I replacing all this fancy stuff with? We got 9 cards that we removed. Steve, what are you going to do with 9 spots? Well, the first thing I'll definitely say to put in will be a combat training. Yeah, that combat training needs to come in there so we can at least have a minimum of 4 attack. The next card I would highly recommend is a couple of these tag teams. Now, the reason why I recommend highly the tag teams more than anything else is because of the tough status cards on the villain or on minions. This is going to be able to just ping that tough off. Yeah, it's just like, oh, what are you just doing that? Because if you have Brawn removes the tough. But if you don't have Brawn, at least these tag teams can do the job, and they stay there permanent until you absolutely need them. So that for me is a lot better. It's a sure thing. It's always a sure thing. So that for me is always the best. Then we did remove a couple of allies, so I do recommend putting in a couple of more allies. So Nick Fury and Mockingbird. Not only for just to draw more cards with Nick Fury, but that Mockingbird also, gives the villain a stun, which is kind of like the same effect of the drop kick, and then also can ping some toughs off. Because there's nothing worse than having Hulk stopped by a minion that has tough, or stopped by the villain who has tough, and you can't play your Hulk smash. So that is definitely what you want to be able to do. All right, then I also include Tigra. Just some more cards that can permanently stay on the table is what is crucial to me. Sentry, if I do decide to play him, he's going to be my threat remover for the entire game most of the time. Him and Brawn, so these are kind of like priority cards in his kit. And I do include a first aid because he can deal 15 damage before he goes, or he can remove 8 threat before he goes. So give him an opportunity to do 2 more activations is just solid. And same for Braun. He attacks for 1, removes a threat. That's just epically good. And then finally, a couple of tenacities, because once I'm at a 4 or maybe a 5 attack, I can spend a resource here and just put these on the table. Again, you want to try to have as many permanents on the table, and that's a good strategy for any character, but especially with Hulk, really helps make a difference. And this setup, I was able to beat most of the villains with this setup. Like even Ultron, even all the other ones there, I was able to have a really good time with this. All right, so that is upgraded PreCon in aggression. Let's take a look at what other ways that we can play Hulk. My other favorite way is actually Hulk and Justice. This is, again, for solo play. In multiplayer, I like Hulk and Leadership a lot more, or in Protection. But again, I'm not going to go into 4 decks. You can look at some of my old videos. I have a whole playlist with Hulk videos, so you can see him in basics. You can see him in aggression and leadership and everything, and just see how you can really have some fun. So let's go look at a Justice deck for him. All right, so here's my little Banner Justice deck. So what you want to be doing is you'll want to be staying in Alter Ego a lot more, maybe flip-flopping every other turn. The priority here is to be able to use Banner's Laboratory to pay for a lot of cards and to generate these mental resources. One of the cool new cards that we're going to play is the Beat Cop that's introduced in his hero kit as a bonus card, which says you can move a threat from a scheme to here, and then so when you have 3 in there, that's 3 threat removal every turn. It's so good. And then you can discard that at any point and just deal a damage to a minion for each threat there. So if there's a really big minion that's kind of hard to kill, boom, just get rid of it with a Beat Cop, which is awesome. So here's the deck. 2 Avengers Mansion. Why there 2? Because one, it has the mental resource, which triggers off a couple of other things. But also, I want to be able to put an Avengers Mansion down early as possible to be able to just increase my hand size and increase my card draw just to go through my deck faster. Then I want to find the Helicarrier and to reduce the cost of my stuff, the double resources. Those tenacities are there for when I want to smash. So now I have opportunities to smash a little bit more. 4 Justices, if ever I get in trouble, I can use the events. First aids are going to be to heal Jessica Jones and Daredevil mostly. Emergencies, again, since I'm going to be in Alter Ego, I can control threat with these. 2 Powers of Justice, 3 Beat Cops, Nick Fury, Mockingbird, and Interrogation Room. So once you have threat under control, it doesn't matter what character you're using. If you keep threat down or at bay, you have time to really play the game. It's obviously going to be a little bit slower, but once Banner is done doing all his science stuff, he can transform in Hulk and just kind of end the game in a couple of turns after that. So it does lengthen the game a little bit, but if you're playing this game, it's because you like it. So who cares if it lasts 10 minutes more? All right, now let's take a look at some of the ways to make Hulk, to bring Hulk to his ultimate potential. All right, so here are some of the hero packs that I would highly recommend you getting if you love Hulk and you really want to play him often and you want to get him to the next level of awesomeness. All right, the first one I recommend is the Wasp hero pack. Here's why. It gives us a double resources for those gray cards. So when you want to play it, so those Avengers Mansion, Nick Furies and stuff like that, well, it's a lot cheaper and Hulk loves the cheap. All right, it also gives us another resource generator that is the Quinn Carrier, which is an awesome card. And then it gives us a couple of really awesome aggression cards like Into the Fray, which is one of the Hulk's biggest weaknesses, is to control threat. Now you can control threat off the main scheme with the Into the Frays. And if you want to play a more defensive Hulk, you can put the boot camps in and let your allies do all the work while Hulk just kind of sits back and takes some hits and then really keeps threat under control like that. And then you have like a super cool allies like Thor, which if you pay with it for his physical can deal some damage. So this is a fun hero pack that can really push Hulk to the next level. Very, very good. Because if you haven't seen, I have a really cool video with Hulk basics and Justin Gray, and that Wasp pack is key. All right, the next one I would highly recommend is probably pretty much tied with the Wasp is Ms. Marvel. Not only because she's my favorite character in the game, but because of these cards. The first one is the puppy. Lockjaw. Hulk loves his pet puppy because once Lockjaw is in the bin, even if you have a bad turn with Hulk, the fact that you can bring out Lockjaw from the discard pile, you just keep playing him over. He's threat management while you kind of get, set yourself up for success, and this is good. And if you have a triple resources, or if you have the power of gray that you can use now, it just makes Lockjaw such an easy include. Also, the other couple of great cards that are awesome are Endurance and the Downtime. So now you can have 25 health once you're fully built, and your recovery of 8, which is crazy awesome. So for me, that's just like off the chains good. And then even if you want to go the Justice route, like I proposed, that Concussive Blow, which will allow you to confuse the villain and flip the puny banner without even fearing. Thank you, Ms. Marvel. That is why you are awesome. All right, second one, a third. Okay, the other ones are kind of like honorable mentions. So Vision, the Hero Pack Vision gives us some cool options, but kind of like the Ms. Marvel pack gives us a crazy good Hulk ally in Machine Man. So there is no more feel bad moments with Hulk saying like, oh man, I have these 2 resources in my hand, I can't play. Well, I can dump him in Machine Man, and then I can choose either thwart or attack, and he gets +1 for each resource that you put into him. So that makes it awesome sauce. And then also comes with a cool card called Defiance. So that's a fun way to play protection with Hulk in green. That kind of mitigates some damage. So that was why he's got an honorable mention here. And the final honorable mention goes to that new hero pack that just released is SPDR, Penny Parker. And the first card that is introduced in that pack that is awesome sauce is Hulk. No, it's Unshakable, that you can only play if your identity has 14 or more hit points, and it gives you the steady mechanic, the steady ability, which says it requires 2 status cards of the same type to be stunned or confused. Now that is fantastic because everyone's been there when Hulk gets stunned while you have your Hulk smash and you're like, come on, and then you go. So that is awesome sauce. And also has that physical resource. And the other one is a Limitless Stamina, again, that you can only play if you have a minimum of 14 health, and it gives you an ability to ready your hero. So again, more things that you can do with Hulk. So this is a little bit more. I think this should be more than just a passive recommendation. I think this should be you should definitely get this for Hulk, because these are awesome cards for Hulk, designed like pretty much for Hulk. Like, just let's make Hulk great again. All right, so there you go. So this is what we got. All right, guys, so hope you enjoyed this video. I'm at 23 minutes. Damn, I'm trying to stay under 20 minutes, but it's hard. All right, so hope you guys enjoyed this video with Hulk. I hope it gives you some ideas for deck building. Again, eliminate as much events from a Hulk deck as you can, and Hulk will always smash the hardest. So guys, I hope this little video will help you play the game with Hulk and obviously beat the game. Ciao, ciao.